This pretty little flower is a Didiscus flower, or a lace flower it's known as well. It's got lots of tiny little flowers around the edge, detailed centre and lots of white stamen. I've called it advanced because there's a lot of tiny details, so there's a lot of control in the piping, but even if you're not advanced, give it a go because it is quite easy to create. It just takes a little bit of patience. To get this colour, I had some white buttercream, so it had this Squire's whitener in it, and to that I added a little bit of Colour Splash Violet. I've crumb coated it in green, and I've used Pro Gel Olive Green, and I've also used that for the centre. Now the piping tips I'm using, for the white centre stamen, I've got a number 2 round piping tip. It's a really tiny round, and the buttercream in here is nice and soft. You want it to be easy to pipe with when you've got these tiny little tips. For the very centre, I've got my olive green. This is a number 3 piping tip. You could use a number 2 again. It just wants to be really small so that you get that tiny detail. And again, just for a little layer of colour around it, I've got another number 3 round here. You could use a 2. You just want soft buttercream in these as well. And then for the flowers, I'm using a drop piping tip, drop flower tip. It's a closed star, and it's got the little dot in the middle that creates the centre of the flower. And I'm going to show you the technique to use to make a drop flower. So you can just squeeze down on this and turn it, and it creates all these petals for you. So the first thing you want to do is crumb coat your cupcake in green buttercream, and then take up your white. Make sure your piping bag is really nice and tight and that all your buttercream's down to the bottom. And then from the centre, I'm just going to touch down on the cupcake and squeeze a line out to the edge, stop and come off. I like to divide it up into quarters just so that I can space them out a little bit better. So you can leave a little gap in the middle, and then I'm going to start filling this in. So I'm just sort of touching down so it sticks, pulling it out, and I've lifted it up a bit so that I'm sort of dragging it. So I'll touch the cake to start, and then I'm lifting it and pulling it out. If you go too slow, you get a wavy line, but you just want to keep going round until you've filled in that gap with your white stamens. It doesn't have to be super neat at the start and finish, because you're going to cover it up with your little flowers. And then when I've got to here, I'm just going to do more and more. You can have a little bit of the green showing through, gives you that nice contrast. This is why you want your buttercream nice and soft. Makes it much easier to pipe when you've got these delicate little piping tips. It's also why you want to sift your icing sugar. When you get a crystal rock stuck in a tiny little round, it's really annoying. You've basically got to take it all out, wash out your tip and start again, because you're not going to find it in there. So always sift your sugar. I'm just going to fill up the gap a little bit more. That was a rubbish one. So you can scrape them off. It's just buttercream, so don't worry about it. You can push it into place sometimes as well, like I did then. Just gonna have a little look at my cake as I go around and fill in any of the larger gaps with some stamen. That will do. Oops. Now, in the very centre, I'm going to take up my green buttercream with my little number 3 round. And again, this buttercream is nice and soft because it's a tiny tip. I'm just going to fill in this round with little tiny stamen. So you touch down on the cake, squeeze, lift, stop, come off, and just fill in that gap. They're not particularly high, but they are little. And I just want to go around until it's looking like a nice even round circle right in the middle. And then when you filled in that, I'm going to take up my tiny round with my flower colour in it. Push that all down to the bottom. And then I'm going to come around the edge here, doing exactly the same thing, going round, just touch down, squeeze and lift, and go all the way around that green, close as you can, making these tiny, tiny little stamens. And again, nice soft buttercream, sifted sugar. And then I'm going to do another row, and I'll come in between those ones as best I can. They don't all have to be exactly the same height. You can pipe some random ones, they look absolutely fine. That's the beauty of flowers, there's nothing neat about them. Okay, so that's your centre done. Now, so I've got my 225 nozzle here. Push it all down to the bottom and make sure your bag's nice and tight. And then to make little drop flowers, you touch, squeeze, turn, stop, come off. Touch, squeeze, turn, stop, come off. Touch, squeeze, turn, stop, come off. And you make these little drop flowers with petals. So you're going to touch the cake, squeeze, turn, come off. So I'm going to touch my cupcake just randomly in here somewhere. Turn my wrist ever so slightly so I can turn it as a pipe. So I'm going to turn, touch the cupcake, squeeze, turn, stop and come off and create a little flower. I'm going to do around the edge. So I'm going to come next to that one there. Turn, come off. And here as well. And I'm going to go around putting some random little flowers all around. I'm leaving some gaps because I'm going to elevate some of them. touch, squeeze, turn, stop, come off. Turn your wrist, touch, squeeze, turn, stop, come off. Don't worry about that one. We're going to put another one over the top, it's fine. Touch, squeeze, turn, come off. Touch, squeeze, turn, come off. And then by just putting in a little row of these, like this first, you can create some different levels of flowers. If you feel like one of your little prongs has got a clog in it, just squeeze some out into a piece of paper towel until you know it's all coming out perfectly. So I'm going to turn, touch, squeeze and turn, stop, come off. Like that. Keep the tip clean. Now I want to create some a little bit higher than these. I'm going to use green, but you could use your flower colour of choice. It's totally up to you. I'm going to put some little splodges of green in between these flowers, just so that they're a little bit higher. And I'm going to do them quite randomly. And I'm coming over the top of the flowers I've already put on. And I'm just using the number 3 green round that I had. And this is so you can build some height and some layers. I quite like the little bit of green poking through. You can cover up any ones that you don't like underneath as well. And I've got my drop flower tip again, and I'm going to come over the top of those. I'm going to turn my wrist, touch, squeeze and turn to create my little flowers. These ones are ever so slightly easier to do because you can really push down on that green. And of course you can turn it and you can put 2 on the bit of green if you need to cover it up. Have a little look at your cake, and if you want to add any more, go in and put some more in. There's all my little flowers on. And then if you want to do a little bit of added detail, you can take up that white buttercream and just pop a little white stamen in the flowers that you can see. If you wanted to line the bag with your flower colour, put another colour in the centre, and you'd automatically have this little bit of detail in there. If you do white ones with a bit of dark pink in the middle, they look pretty. There we go. That's my take on the Didiscus or lace flower using little drop flowers.